A major part of this system is the ability to identify the trend. This video is about the 7 wide lines that make up the trend. And the basic system has fast lines like your zip red, your swing pink are probably the 2 fastest lines. But swing gray is fast, and trend red is fast, and there are several others that are fast, and they start the trend. But the wide lines, the power green and orange, the swing red and green, and the trend trio, that would be the yellow, pink, and blue. Those are the 7 lines that define the trend that we're in. And it is amazing how individuals cannot identify where they are in a trend. And so we developed, as a part of this system, the ability to see the short and long-term trends and the fast reversals. And so when you put the narrow lines together with the, I'll call the trend trio a medium long-term indicator, whereas the power green and orange are, definitely strong long-term indicators, and the swing red and green are strong long-term indicators. When the indicators are moving somewhat horizontally under 0, you're in a downtrend. And when they're moving horizontally above 0, you're in an uptrend as well. And so you do have variations. The trend trio moves faster than the other 2 pairs of lines, and that will become visible when I show you on the chart. I'm in a symbol called it's ALXN. It's Alexion Pharmaceuticals. And in this particular case, we're here in this yellow, green, and red line over on the right are in January of 2016, and then we've got a little bit in November and December. Let me start by pointing out what I have here on the vertical lines. I'm going to start with the 2 yellow lines. This yellow line here is in the swing chart when the swing red crosses over the 0 line. It stays above the 0 line the entire length across this chart to this line over here when the swing green crosses under the 0 line. Just for your reference, the swing red never crosses under the green line. It's been designed that way. It cannot cross. When the lines squeeze together, they tell us things, and the companion to the swing red and green line is the swing blue line. The swing blue line has 4 crossovers. It crosses over and under the red and over and under the green line. And obviously, over here on the left side, you can see that the blue is above the red, and you can look at the candles and see that you're in an uptrend. When the when the swing blue is under the green, you are obviously in a downtrend. And as the blue crosses over the green, that sometimes can be a very weak uptrend signal, but it is a signal. And those are marked on the indicator definitions document. If you go to the documents file, you'll find just a number of sheets of information that you can copy and place on your desktop or place on your desk to read through and to become familiar with how the system works. And I encourage you to do that. The green line that we see here is the first day that the power green crosses over the zero line. The green line over here is when the power green crosses under the zero line. The red line is when your trend trio, the yellow, pink, and blue, the red line over here crosses underneath the zero line. Over on this side, the trend trio crosses above the zero line. These two pink lines in the middle show us where the trend trio went down below and then back right away back up after about 4 or 5 days. And otherwise, you have the swing red and green above zero. You have the power orange and green above zero throughout this whole, across this whole chart. And with different variations, you have the trend trio above zero. And you can look at the candles and see that we were obviously in an uptrend. My dollars here at the bottom are in the 160s, and up on top we're in the 190s. And so it's about a $30 climb in a couple of months, but it definitely showed us an uptrend. Some people like to be swing traders, and they will get in and out as the market moves. The fast candles, like the trend red and green and gray, and your power lines, like your pink and blue and white and yellow, and then of course on your swing chart, your pink and Zion and yellow. Those are all fast movers. But the fast chart, the fast lines are on the zip chart, and that's not even displayed here because I didn't want to I didn't want to have the zip chart up there while I was discussing the 7 wide lines that make up a trend. Obviously, the 7 lines move slower. They're not necessarily the way you want to trade situations. Or use them as entrance and exit points to get in and out of transactions, but they definitely show us key attributes to what the trend is doing in the marketplace. When the trend green is above zero, when it is above the power, I said that all wrong. When the power green is above the power orange, you are in an uptrend, like right here. However, right in this area right here, the trend, the power green has turned down and started going downhill. It's not easy to change the power green and orange direction because of their long-term built-in design characteristics. And so they move slowly, but when the green is under the orange in the power chart, you're in a downtrend. And if you notice here, I got 4 green candles in this area, and I think it's the 3rd green candle before the power green starts turning back up. You're not going to be looking at the power orange and green to make your entrance and exit changes. You know, even right here, if you look at the power chart, your pink and power pink and blue are your deep cycle indicators. The other deep cycle indicator that we have is swing gray, And I'll have reference to that in a little while, but I'm not going to deal with that at this point. But when this power pink and blue go down to the bottom like this, you're at a bottom of a deep cycle. And that deep cycle indication is typically, hey, I'm going up. I might go up sporadically. I might have 4 green candles in a row. Whatever it is, the direction is changing. And that's identified easily down here in the trend chart. When trend red crosses over the green, you're in an uptrend. And trend red crossed over the green. Let me look here. Trend red is just under the green on the first candle. On the first green candle here between the 2 purple lines, vertical lines. They're almost pink lines, pink vertical lines. Anyway, the reference, or that change in direction when you're looking at, for example, when we're looking at the power wide lines of orange and green, we have a downtrend going on here between the two pink vertical lines, but the lines are still above zero. And so when the change starts taking place, we get some pretty significant action. And it's just like here on this green line, on the lowest green candle, that day it closed at $166.44. 4 days later, that right green candle between the 2 pink vertical lines closed at 176. And so 166 to 176 is a $10 rise in your 4 days. And 100 shares would have made $1,000. And so how you look at these transactions is very critical. You need to identify with things that are happening. And as I indicated before, the trend chart moves faster than either the power or the swing chart long-term lines. And on the pink line here, on the left pink line, the trend trio has crossed under zero. But the real identification of your trend trio, blue, pink, yellow, is way up here on the peak. At some point, this blue line turned down, and if we expand it a little bit, you've got actually this right here. I don't know if it went up or not. I can look to be real specific. Your trend blue right here is 30.84. Your trend blue is 30.83. So it actually went up a notch right here on this day, but here is the first day. This would be the tiny red candle. I'm going to mark a vertical line right here so that we can identify it, and I'm going to change it to a gray line. That gray line is a red doji candle, but it is the first day that the trend trio did a top of cycle turnaround. And normally it doesn't go back for one more day, but in this case it did. But after that, she just continues to drop down. And so the trend trio is a medium range trend direction indicator. And the power green is also telling you, if you look up here, the power green is right in here. It's 3. The power green turned down. It did a top of cycle turn 3 days after that gray line, that second red candle. And so obviously you can see that the power green and orange are much slower in making that directional move than the trend chart is. Several days in advance, the trend chart will tell you how things are going to be moving. And so it's real eye-opening to be able to look at the mixture of these three groups of trend lines on the power, trend, and swing charts. I'm going to move us down here a little bit to another place that I want to talk about briefly before this I end this video, and that is in this area right here. You have a indicator. Trend red is at the bottom. You also, if you go into the swing chart, you have the swing, as you can see, the swing red, the swing gray is still going down. In fact, the day after this red vertical line, that would be right here. This is the bottom of the deep cycle gray line. There's three deep cycle lines in this system. The power pink and blue and the swing gray. And they tell you about the deep cycle movements in the market. When, like for example over here, when the power pink and gray are down low, when they start up, that usually is a strong indication for a nice set of candle movements. And so is true when the gray starts up here in this right after this red vertical line down here. And you can see at the same time this is identical with the deep cycle movements on this red vertical line with the power pink and blue line. It's always great when the power pink and blue are lowest. In this case here we have yellow mixed in, and it really doesn't make any difference about where the yellow line is. If you've watched any of the power yellow videos, you've identified with how I look at the power yellow, because it does give us some information, but it's where it's positionally located. Sometimes it's not a viable method of making any determinations. So, but that is not true with the power pink and blue, and it is not true with the swing gray. Also note here the separation between the blue and the pink. At this bottom point, that would be on the left side of this vertical line, that last red candle. The power blue was at -18 and the power pink was at -25. Now that's 7 points apart, and when you have a large separation like that, again, if you haven't seen the documents file on the line pairing and identifying and have identified which lines are paired together and why we pair them together, then you don't realize that blue and pink are paired together, and when they try to run together, but when they're separated like that, they're going to pull back together. The zip blue and yellow are paired lines, and when they separate, they have a tendency to go back. The majority of time, the blue returns to the yellow, but occasionally the yellow will drop down to the blue, or come back, or come to the blue. But in most cases, the zip blue goes back to the zip yellow. And oftentimes the power pink is lowest, and when it finally, it's been lowest here, for, it looks like 8 or 10 days going through here. So just because it's lowest doesn't mean anything. But when the cycle hits its bottom point and starts back up, then to have the power pink in the lowest position is it's significant. It's not always beneficial, but even over in here where where I have this where the cursor is going around, you have a power pink that was always above the blue until this last day, and boom! Look at that green candle on the next day. You also down here had a trend red low angle up, and that trend red low angle was at -45. So that's a complete turnaround. What happens here too, if you can see it, your swing gray turns around on that day. That does a bottom of a cycle turn, and your green candle on this day goes from a low of 150 to a high of 161. So there's $11 increase on that day, and you got a deep cycle that came down in your power pink. You had your trend low angle up in your red trend red, and you obviously don't see it on that day because your trend red is because your swing gray is still going down. But if you look in the swing chart, you can see that your swing Zion is in a low angle down, your swing yellow is in a low angle down, your swing pink is in a low angle down. So there's 3 low angle downs in the swing chart that tells you it's going up tomorrow. And you've got it also in your trend gray line, you've got it in your trend red line, and not so much visibly there in your trend green, but you know, there's looks like there's 6 or 8 lines just in these 3 charts that tell you things are changing tomorrow. And that's why when you have all of those signals, that those low angle signals, whether they're up or down, usually when you have a mixture, when you're up and down quite a bit, those have a tendency to have strong candles, especially your trend red, because your trend red is again, it's like a bottom cycle indicator, but your trend red can occasionally be lower, and sometimes you don't have the same impact with the power pink and blue. But when the trend red shows you something, it's it can be very important. It's just that type of indicator on that chart. Okay, now I've got another comparison that I want to show you here. This is the swing gray. I've told you that it's a deep cycle indicator. You can't tell that so much with your power blue and pink in this case, because the power blue and pink are above zero here, and they're just kind of going down. They're mixing in amongst the other lines, and you don't get the feeling for it until they're actually cross over the zero maybe, or cross over the power green and orange. But you can immediately identify being in a basically in a downtrend when you have a swing gray line that is a long ways under your other lines. It just tells you that you're in that lower cycle, and the chances are that you're going to go into are going to continue in a downtrend. And obviously you had some it's a fair amount of consolidation, but it does amount to a downtrend. Now, moving back here, I want to show you one other area before this video ends, and that's back to these original lines that we were looking at from the beginning. And if you notice immediately the swing gray is all above all the other lines, your swing red primarily, and it tells you that you're on the high side of your cycle indications. And The name might be deceptive when I say that swing gray is a deep cycle, but the deep cycle goes down and it goes up, or at least it becomes visibly identifiable at both ends of the spectrum. And so throughout this time here, you can look at the swing gray and see that that you're in that high cycle or uptrend, if you will, in the marketplace. And I don't want to belittle the situation, because I just got done telling you that, you know, you've got all your lines, like all your lines above zero. Your 7 major trend lines are basically running above zero, so yeah, we're in an uptrend. But there are times when you're going to be trading when there's going to be mixed signals and you're not exactly sure. And this swing gray line will come back and tell you significant, or can tell you some added information that can be very beneficial to your decision-making process. Also, I'll point out when the swing gray does a BOC, that would be a bottom of cycle turnaround. Like, for example, right in here where it comes down and then it goes back up again. On the day that goes back up, that is oftentimes a real strong indicator. If it isn't, the following day will be. That is, here again, this is down in this area between the 2 pink candles. You can see that when the swing gray went up, you had 3 really nice green candles that went along with it. So keep that in mind as you're trading. This is the basic information about how the 7 wide trend lines work. I hope it was informative for you, and it's very integral part of the entire system, because there are many indicators that depend on on whether the trend is going down or going up. I think of your red peaks and your red spikes. I mean, you just have more candle length when you are following the trend versus going against the trend. So when you have a chance to pick between 2 or 3 of them, you always want to do the trend, following the trend. So keep that in mind as you're trading.